3 cheers for number 14. Here's to Captain Nick Suzuki. Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Habs Hockey Report right here on the All Habs Hockey Magazine YouTube channel. We're of course part of Rocket Sports Media. You can find us on the web over at allhabs.net for your daily dose of all the latest Habs news, game recaps and previews, updates and analysis, as well as our podcasts. Also be sure to check out our Laval Rocket and Prospects website, ahlreport.com. I also happen to be the lead correspondent for ahlreport.com, bringing you coverage, credentialed coverage of the Laval Rocket all season long. So glad to have you along. My name is Amy Johnson. We're here each and every Thursday, and things are really starting to heat up in terms of the 2022-23 hockey season. Rookie camps starting this week. That means it's kind of the unofficial beginning of the hockey season. We've got lots to talk about today. Of course, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to talk about the newest captain for the Montreal Canadiens. We are going to talk about how you can get set up to watch things going on with rookie camp and the rookie tournament this week. But before we get to all of that, if you're new here, if this is maybe your first time watching the show, welcome. Where are you watching from? We want to start kind of reintroducing that weekly All Habs roll call. Would love to know where you're watching from. Drop that down in the comments below. And as well, hit that subscribe button. Yes, that subscribe button. Tap the notification bell. Hit the like button. It's the best way for you to make sure you never miss an episode of Habs Hockey Report. And we're going to have some great material coming for you as the season gets underway, and you don't want to miss a minute. So without further ado, let's get started. I think that it's safe to say that we can kind of kiss summer goodbye. Fall has kind of officially arrived. The kids are back at school. So it's time to, dust off all of your gear, get ready to start tossing on your favorite Habs sweater, cap, whatever it is for the upcoming season. However, jerseys are going to look a little different going forward. The Montreal Canadiens announcing this week that they have partnered with RBC to be the official jersey sponsor of the Montreal Canadiens, and just look at that. I've seen on social media, some of you don't mind this, some of you say, hey, it's just one ad, it's okay. But there's a lot more of you, myself included, I gotta say, that really laments this move. Sure, nobody understands better than us that hockey is a business and revenue is needed, but it is, the phrase slippery slope has certainly been circulated plenty regarding this topic. You know what European hockey jerseys and uniforms look like. It's a slippery slope. Once you allow one, well, then maybe there could be one on the pant, or maybe there could be one on the lower hem, and then the ball keeps rolling and it snowballs. So, don't necessarily love the look of the patch, hoping, and I believe I've seen that you'll be able to order jerseys without the patch, which I'm really not in the market to spend a lot of money on a sweater and then provide free advertising for RBC. That's just me. Not to mention that I wish that they could have kind of color matched the color scheme of the logo. Yes, there is some blue, but it's not Canadiens blue. And that tinge of yellow in there, maybe making it a bit more monochromatic to blend in with the sweater more, maybe would make this a little less jarring. Now let's be frank about this. Nothing compares to the Laval Rocket's jersey sponsor, which is the Saint-Hubert giant yellow chicken, which it's really hard to look at that on a very pretty sweater and very handsome looking sweater, and then you've got a giant yellow chicken on it. So at least it's not Saint Hubert. I mean, RBC is at least a bit more of a sophisticated logo. That's going to take some getting used to for sure. And let's just hope that this is where it starts and stops as far as jersey ads. That news coming out just not long before Monday's annual Montreal Canadiens golf tournament. Beautiful, sunny, gorgeous, clear skied day in Montreal. Couldn't have asked for better weather for the annual golf tournament. The golf tournament is really the first time to get to kind of see these guys really back together. And it was really heartwarming to see Carrie Price there. He looked to be in great spirits. In fact, he and Jake Allen had something to say to fans.
Hey guys, Carrie Price, Jake Allen here. We're out here at the Canadiens Golf Tournament having a great day. I just wanted to thank you guys for all your support coming up this season. Have a good one, guys.
Carrie will be around the team this year, despite the fact that he's not playing in the foreseeable future. But they all agree that it's very important to the guys in the room to have Carrie around as a physical presence, as a leader, as someone that they can look up to and learn from and lean on. And Carrie Price is going to be around. So it was good to see him at the golf tournament. Interestingly enough, and very, very nice looking team photo at the golf tournament. There was a lot of speculation around the fact that Mike Hoffman was missing on this day. You will see that there is no Mike Hoffman in this picture. So immediately, of course, the question of, oh my goodness, is Mike Hoffman not going to be part of the plan moving forward? Is there a pending trade? Well, it turns out Matthias Brunet checked with Chantal Maccabee, and no, that's not the case. Mike Hoffman actually was sick on this day, and the medical team had advised him it would be better for him to not come to the golf course and be around others. Camera crews and whatnot follow the guys around from hole to hole. They get to have a little bit of personality. They get to have a little bit of fun, and it's kind of nice to see them in that relaxed setting, joking around with one another. And who better to exemplify that than Brendan Gallagher and Jake Evans?
All right, I'm out here golfing with Jake. How do I flip the camera? Okay, we'll just turn it. We're gonna evaluate his swing. Club head looks a little turned at the moment. Pretty wonky, and he is way 4 to the left. 4. It wasn't good. We'll go check in with Jake. Jake, can you hold the camera?
That was bad.
You got good distance.
I might have hit someone.
Is it still rolling there?
Yeah.
Give me your scouting report on him.
Okay, I gotta turn it on Galley now. Alright, I'm just gonna turn this here. Galley's been struggling already real bad. Missed the first hole. Oh no. And he's going right.
It's like a foot off the fairway.
And there's Woods. How'd you like your shot?
Great power. You know, there's a little bit of a breeze carried it off to the right, but it was pretty good.
We have four balls left now.
Might need to get those two paired up with Biz and Wit on Spit and Chicklets, and maybe have a Sandbaggers edition with Brendan Gallagher and Jake Evans. We've seen a recent Sandbaggers episode from Spit and Chicklets with Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki, which was exceptionally entertaining. I think Gally and Jake would do hold their own just fine as well. Speaking of Nick Suzuki, that was really the news that overshadowed the entire day. The first thing in the morning, Marty St. Louis came to the microphone and announced the 31st captain of the Montreal Canadiens.
Le prochain capitaine du Canadien de Montréal, ça va être Nick Suzuki.
Bonjour, bon matin. C'est un honneur de devenir capitaine de Canadien de Montréal. It's a true honor for me and a privilege, and this team's heading in a great direction, and couldn't be more excited to be the captain and represent the team.
That's right. You see him there just before this announcement was made, pulling on that sweater with proudly with wearing the C on it for the very first time. Nick Suzuki, 31st captain in Montreal Canadiens history, the youngest captain in franchise history. And, you know, there was a lot of back and forth. It's kind of been, I want to say worst kept secret, but it's been pretty obvious that they've been pushing Nick Suzuki into the limelight and spotlight quite often towards the end of last year, and particularly all summer long, with how prominently the Canadiens had him involved in things all summer long. Suzuki confirming that, yes, Marty St. Louis had approached him at the draft and asked him to begin taking into consideration whether he would accept the role of captain, whether he felt he was ready for it. Suzuki said that he then did a lot of thinking about it over the next 6 weeks or so. Spoke to friends, spoke to family, had a lengthy conversation with Shea Weber, who Shea Weber apparently told him, "You are ready to do this." That he had faith and belief in Nick Suzuki, and so, you know, the only question really was, at the age of Nick Suzuki that he's still growing growing and maturing as a person and as a hockey player. Is this too young to lead the most storied franchise in NHL history? And so there was a lot of talk about how maybe Nick Suzuki should be groomed, continue to be an alternate for another year or two, and allow Joel Edmundson, who has really taken the reins and had his own motivation and initiative to really act like a captain all summer long. He was consistently the first guy to text new acquisitions or draftees and so forth and welcome them to the team, things of that nature. He's got a ton of leadership ability, a ton of experience. And so, you know, for my liking, I would have liked to have seen Edmundson take the C and let Nick learn from him for a year or two before transitioning Suzuki to the captaincy. Nick Suzuki, very popular player with fans, both on and off the ice. He's fun. You know, he's best friends with Cole Caulfield. The two of them have quite the little bromance going on. Fans love to see them interact, and they love to cheer for Nick Suzuki. So, you know, a heartfelt congratulations to Nick Suzuki. It is truly an honor to be named the captain of any NHL team, but when it's the Montreal Canadiens, there's something just a bit extra special about it. We really congratulate him for that. What's interesting is, as players came to the microphone to do subsequent press interviews before the golf tournament got started, for some reason it seems that there was not, you know, like a team meeting in the clubhouse or anything like that before the golf tournament started internally for the organization to introduce Nick Suzuki as the next captain of the Montreal Canadiens, because listen to what Josh Anderson says when someone at the golf tournament asks him, "So, what do you think about Nick Suzuki being named captain?"
Honestly, I haven't even heard that yet. So, okay, so there it is. So, big congrats to Nick.
Oops. That probably didn't go as planned for one of the players to get caught off guard with the news that a captain had been named. A little unfortunate of a gaffe on the part of the Canadiens organization as a whole to not have all of the players introduced to their new captain. He recovered quickly, went on to talk about how Nick Suzuki is a really solid guy on the ice and off, and that he was looking forward to him being the captain. Joel Edmundson and Brendan Gallagher also, of course, singing Nick Suzuki's praises. Gallagher calling Nick Suzuki the heart of the team. It was a very poignant moment. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch Nick Suzuki grow into this role. Speaking of Joel Edmundson and Brendan Gallagher, they were not left out. Joel Edmundson and Brendan Gallagher named as Nick Suzuki's alternate captains for this year. So I think if you were going to make Nick Suzuki the captain of the Montreal Canadiens at his age, no better two alternates than two veteran guys who have leadership ability, leadership experience, just experience in general in the league. They're older, they're more mature, and so this is going to be a great support system in the leadership core for Nick Suzuki, and he will hopefully then learn and soak up and sponge up as much knowledge and mentorship as he can from his two alternates, and I think the three of them will work really nicely together and hopefully shape Nick Suzuki's character as a captain and path forward as a leader in that locker room for the next few years as he continues to mature and grow. Interesting comment from Joel Edmundson during his press scrum, however, and it kind of speaks to, yes, that mindset that a leader, that a player leader has to have. Someone mentioned to him something about, the season ahead and the rebuild. And listen to what Joel Edmundson had to say when the word rebuild was brought up.
I think we're going to surprise a lot of people. We got a lot of guys here right now, a couple weeks early before camp, and we just got that excitement in our dressing room. So we're excited to kick things off. Obviously, we want to use last year as a stepping stone. Use that with a little chip on our shoulder that, we want to make playoffs, and, once you make playoffs, you never know what's going to happen. So
the rebuilding process would be something that should...
Rebuilding, that was last year. I think we're ready to take the next step.
Rebuild? What rebuild? Last year was the rebuild. Some people might be very taken. I mean, I was surprised to hear him say that. Some people might look at it as, well, you're kidding yourself if you think that the Habs aren't in a rebuild. And let's be honest, they are in a rebuild. Last year was not the rebuild. Last year was the final collapse of what was going on with the organization and the franchise, and this year begins the rebuild. Joel Edmundson also saying, we're making the playoffs. Absolutely. We're going to surprise a lot of people, and we're going to make the playoffs. I commend Joel Edmundson for that, not because it's a naive statement to make, but that is what a leader in the locker room has to say and has to have the mindset of. No professional athlete at this level is going to come in and say, yes, it's a rebuilding year, and we expect that we're probably going to finish 20th in the league. That's not their mindset. Their mindset is to win. We are going to win. We are going to overcome all the odds, and we are going to win. And so I appreciate from a leadership standpoint that Joel Edmundson, that's his mindset. He's going to speak it out loud, no matter what the setting, whether it's in the press, whether it's to his teammates, whether it's to himself in the mirror every day. And that's what you want a good leader to do. I'm sure that Joel Edmundson understands that they are in a rebuild, that there's going to be a focus on prospect development, and that there's certainly some tumultuous stuff going on in the goaltending depth with Carrie Price's future up in the air. And that there's going to be obstacles to overcome. There's going to be young players who have to transition and adjust to playing in the NHL. Joel Edmundson understands all of that. Joel Edmundson understands that they are not going to come out with a win every night, and quite frankly, will likely not make the playoffs this year. That's not being negative. That's being realistic. But despite all of that, Joel Edmundson still has to be positive and driven and motivated as a professional athlete and a leader on this team, and I commend him for that. My feedback forum question for you this week kind of ties into that. Where do you think, Joel Edmundson thinks they're making the playoffs, where do you think the Montreal Canadiens are going to end up at the end of the 2022-23 season? Are they going to do what Joel Edmundson says and make the playoffs? Or are they going to finish kind of middle of the pack? Or are they going to finish in the bottom five? Maybe not worst in the league like they did last year, but finish in the bottom five. I'd love to know what you think realistically. This is not what do you hope. Everybody hopes that they make the playoffs, but realistically, what do you predict realistically the Canadiens are going to do in terms of where they finish in the league this season? Drop that comment down below in the comment section. I can't wait to read your answers to this one next week on the show. This week's Rocket Boosters segment is less about the Laval Rocket because we're not quite there yet in the process of the preseason, but more focused on the rookies, many of whom will end up playing for the Laval Rocket this year. Rookie camp did begin yesterday, Wednesday, with medicals and physicals taking place at Brassard. Of course, a new roster, an updated roster was put out Thursday morning with kind of taking into consideration the results of those medicals and physicals. Logan Mailloux not playing. He's still rehabbing from his injury. The maybe disappointing aspect is Joshua Waugh will not travel to Buffalo for the rookie prospect tournament that the Habs rookies are going to take place and participate in. Apparently, the Canadiens say he has a minor hand injury, so he is going to remain in Brassard to receive treatment for that. And we'll see once the Habs rookies return to Brassard late Sunday or on Monday for the remainder of rookie camp, if Joshua Waugh isn't feeling better and able to participate in activities at that point. The rookies are already in Buffalo hosting the prospect tournament this year, and things will kick off for that on Thursday night, tonight, with the Montreal Canadiens rookies taking on the Buffalo Sabres rookies. That's going to be a pretty fun game to watch. Friday night, the Habs then take on the New Jersey Devils rookies, so Slafkovsky versus Simon Nemec. That could be pretty fun. And as well, the Canadiens rookies have Saturday off before Sunday at noon, a matinee game against the Ottawa Senators rookies as well. There's a lot of big potential star power at this tournament on all of the teams combined. It's going to be a fun one to watch. If you would like to watch along each of those games, the Habs games on Thursday night and Friday night take place at 7 p.m. The Sunday game against Ottawa takes place at noon. The Canadiens will be streaming these games on their website and on their social media channels, so be sure to follow along. We're going to talk about them next week here on the show for sure. We'll see how many of those rookies get invited to the Montreal Canadiens training camp. And at that point, things really start to ramp up and accelerate. Those who don't get invited to training camp will already start to see next week a handful of players get assigned to the Laval Rocket training camp. And then as Canadiens training camp progresses, of course, we'll see cuts being made as prospects get sent to Laval. So it's all really starting to ramp up on the NHL side, and what's exciting is on the AHL side. The Laval Rocket and the AHL announcing their preseason schedule for the 2022-23 season. Once again, the Rocket playing 2 preseason games. Both of them will take place in Belleville, but they're playing once against the Toronto Marlies and once against the Belleville Senators. You see there on the screen, Saturday, October 8th will be a 3 p.m. Eastern Time Laval game versus Toronto, but played at CAA Arena in Belleville. And then the next day, Sunday, 24 hours later, Sunday, October 9th, Laval will play the host Belleville Senators at 3 p.m. We will have full coverage of all of those games and everything during the regular season at ahlreport.com. It's going to be an exciting season to see what they can do with basically a very different lineup than they had last year and a lot more prospects on the roster. So keep it locked at ahlreport.com. Getting back into the groove of the Habs Fan Hub this week, the first thing I want to do is again invite you to hit the subscribe button down below, tap the like button, tap the notification bell. We don't ever want you to miss an episode. The other thing is, really, it's that time of year. We're already starting to get a lot of questions from our fans and followers and listeners and readers and viewers across our Rocket Sports Media platforms. The All Habs mailbag here at Habs Hockey Report is always open. So if you have a question about the Montreal Canadiens, hockey in general, the Laval Rocket, Habs prospects, drop a comment down below. Say, hey, I have a question for the mailbag. And I will answer that for you right here on the show in an upcoming episode. So don't be shy. Send in your questions. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget this week's feedback forum question, which I encourage you to answer in the comment section down below for us to read next week on the show, is where do you predict, not where you hope, but where do you predict the Habs will actually finish this season in the league? Will they be in the playoffs? Will they be middle of the pack? Or will they be in the bottom 5? Let me know what you think realistically the Habs are going to do and why. Can't wait to read those next week on the show. And of course, last week, our question was basically surrounding the Kirby Dach and Caden Primo contract signings and what you thought of those. Jimbo says, Doc is going to surprise us, I think. He's an amazing add to a rebuild whose assets are unmistakable. I have a feeling he and Slavkovsky are going to connect naturally and create magic. It's exactly what Doc needs to cut loose. Thanks for the show. Jimbo, we thank you for watching and a great comment as well. Certainly, that is the hope, that a new environment for Kirby Dach will help him regain his confidence, find his footing again, and really be that breakout player that he was projected to be when he was drafted. Dave H. says, Dach contract could be genius in 3 to 4 years, assuming he develops properly. But if injuries happen or development falters, the term and cap hit aren't bad. As for goaltending, I personally wouldn't discount Montembeault, but I realize Allen would be a much better mentor for Primo. Jake Allen would be a good mentor for Caden Primo if it turns out that Caden Primo is going to be forced into more of an NHL role this year for some reason, as opposed to trying to go down and dominate the AHL and find his consistency there. So thank you both for your answers to this week's questions. If you missed last week's episode of the show, you can check that out right here, and we'll see you back here next Thursday for another great episode of Habs Hockey Report.